Hello, everyone. Luana here with Cultural Humility Consulting. I am so excited to disembark from the Virgin Voyages Valiant Lady. I have been on a 5-day cruise and it has been spectacular. It has really been a phenomenal cruise. We went to Bimini, Costa Maya, and it's just been an exhilarating experience. And I have my good friend here, Holly Cooper. She and I are going to just have a fireside chat and talk a little bit about the Valiant Lady. This was actually a comedy fest cruise. And it was phenomenal. We had such a good time. It was my first time on Virgin Voyages, although I am not new to cruising, nor is she. And we just want to have a little conversation and talk a bit about the cruise, how much we enjoyed it, and talk about some suggestions we may have and things that we really loved and things that we didn't like so much, and just give an all-around conversation about the cruise. Hello, Holly. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Luana?
Wonderful, wonderful. I guess I'll just start it out and just say, what really stood out to you about this cruise? I know you've cruised as well before. What really stood out to you?
I would say the spaces on the ship. I would say the onboarding, which was pretty seamless, and the adult-only aspect of this cruise, I think, was extremely rewarding because it gave you a sense of peace versus when most times you bring your children, your family, and you feel like you're accountable for making everybody else's trip enjoyable versus your own. So I would say that those were some of the highlights and some of the things that stood out. And with having nothing but grown people, everyone was extremely friendly and courteous, and I just think that that made a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I wholeheartedly concur with Holly. The aspect of not having children was, it really put this cruise on a different level. We all love kids, however, sometimes we love them at home. And when you work really hard and you pay your money, you sometimes you just want to relax. We wanted to disconnect and just recharge because we have busy lives and careers, and just wanted to unplug, unwind, and that no kids aspect really made a difference. And I also have to echo off what Holly said regarding friendly. We both kind of did our own thing. She went this way and I went that way. However, we would come together in the evening for shows and dinner, and the people that we met, I mean, extremely diverse sailors is what they call them. The sailors were great. Everyone was so friendly, so outgoing, and we made some friends, exchanged phone numbers because it's just a good vibe on this ship.
I would also add that I think what was so refreshing is that you see people of all different walks of life, and you met people in red states, blue states, orange states, and no one was wearing their political affiliations on their sleeves. I could not identify one person of what their political background was. I think everyone was just courteous and kind, and I hope that this is what more people can experience and understand that there's so many more people in this country that have more in common than they have in terms of division. And I think that this was a great example of what America should look like.
Yes, I concur. It was refreshing. It was so refreshing. Yeah. Again, there was no blue, there was no red, there was no politics involved. It was about humanity. Yeah. And that's what Cultural Humility Consulting is all about, coming together and finding commonality with your fellow man, woman, person, and just realizing we have so much more in common than we have differences. And I close with that on each and every video. And she just brought that full circle by saying that there were no political affiliations here. Mm-hmm. It was all about Virgin Voyages, and we were all here just to have a great time.
And it was an awesome trip. And I would also add that this was the Comic Fest, and you had headline was some more, who everyone knows is a national comedian and very well regarded, and we had a lot of other comedians, some more up and coming, but it was just it was phenomenal shows. And laughter is just, it's so good for the health and the heart. And laughter brings, again, people together. And I would also convey that I think the Virgin Voyages should have maybe quarterly or twice a year, because currently they only have this one comedy fest right now, I think in the summer. And I would really consider adding another one and just seeing the turnout and the feedback, because again, laughter is just so healthy, and I think we're at a time right now that people want to laugh if to avoid crying. So it did a world of wonders for me, and I'm looking forward to the next Virgin Voyage cruise.
Yeah, absolutely. For your mental health, just laughing and getting a hearty laugh out, it makes such a difference. Yeah. All of the comedians were phenomenal, yes. And I too would advocate for Virgin Voyages bringing yes. this back at least twice a year, bare minimum twice a year. Once a year, no, twice a year at least.
Yes.
And they were all so funny, and honestly, they all walked around the ship after the shows, and you could just go up and have a conversation with them, take a photo, and they were very open and very receptive. Yeah, please bring that back again. And just let's say some other points here. What were your favorite, is there a space that stood out on the ship? And also, was there a food option or restaurant that you really enjoyed?
I think that all of the restaurants had their own specialty, so I think it was a question of what you ordered. There are things that are very popular in each of the restaurants. I just came from a brunch at the Wake, and the French toast was phenomenal with the pecans, and there was also a citric salad that I had that was incredible. And a lot of people loved the steak at the Wake. I went a different direction, and I was very, very pleased. I would say each of the locations have their specialty. As I mentioned last night, we had dinner at the Virgin Extra Virgin restaurant, and the meatballs, which was appetizer, was delicious. So I think, like I said, each location, each restaurant has their specialty, and it's just a question of what your taste requires. But from a space standpoint, there were so many spaces. You had indoor, you had outdoor. If you had a deck in your, a balcony in your room, you had that option to just sit and enjoy the hammock. That is a very nice touch, having a hammock on your private deck. To just relax and meditate and to enjoy. So again, I think that's where Virgin really stepped up, and the creativity shows. There's spaces throughout the interior and exterior, and it did not feel like the cruise was sold out, although it was. It was full capacity, because they have designed the ship where there are so many different areas that you can go and just chill out, that it didn't feel like there was one area that was overwhelmingly crowded.
And let me just echo off what Holly said a bit. Yes, the food options were phenomenal. There was gumbe, which was an Asian, like barbecue style, I don't want to say hibachi, but there was an oven in the middle. But that was phenomenal. And that was like you would be set with other people. And they had play drinking games. And that was a lot of fun if you had your own group or if you joined in with others. And then there was Extra Virgin, which she just spoke about, the Italian restaurant. And then there was also the Mexican restaurant, Pink Agave, that had the best guacamole. Wasn't that guacamole
oh my
good?
God, delicious. By far the best that I've had.
Yeah, same.
And I like guacamole.
Same. And the corn. Yeah, so there was pink agave, and then there was also the wake, the wake at the back of the ship, the dock house. I mean, there are so many options on this ship. I don't care what your palate is, you would find something you liked. And then throughout the night, there are burgers and pizza anytime, and room service. I mean, we can go on and on and on. And they're constantly asking you, do you have any allergies, to make sure that they're catering to your taste, your likes, your dislikes. And also nooks and crannies all over the place. I mean, everywhere you go, there is a place to sit, relax, and unwind. Again, the ship is at full capacity, but does it ever feel full? Absolutely not.
No.
There are spaces everywhere where you can relax. There's a karaoke room. There's a game room with like old school Miss Pac-Man and Donkey Kong, and all this is free. So there are just, and there's this other space that is like a secret hideaway, and it's called The Scene, SCENE. And when they say the scene, it's so picturesque, it is scenic. The scenery, it just looks like a postcard. So there are spaces, you can be on here, we were on here for 5 days, there are spaces that you won't even realize that are here until the last 2 days, because it's just so, I mean, there's just so much. It's almost like an adult candy store. So I just can't say enough about how much I enjoyed this cruise. Everyone was super friendly. The food, the spaces. You did an excursion?
Yes, I
in
did.
Bimini?
I did, yes. I did the shipwreck and snorkeling, and it was so well organized. And the snorkel was incredible, and I'm a certified diver, so I like to go places and dive. Didn't have the option when we went to Costa Maya because of the seaweed, so didn't have an option to dive there, but so opted to snorkel instead, and what an experience. And again, it's about staff. There was not one single staff person on the ship and or the excursions that did not give 100% dedication to giving you a great experience. Every single wait server that I encountered was incredible. They were extremely knowledgeable, they were extremely welcoming and kind and thorough. And even when you were walking through the hallways trying to figure out where you're trying to get to, any staff member that you stopped to ask gave you information with a smile on their face. Again, kudos to the hiring team, the HR team, the staff, the great guy who took care of me in my room, on a daily basis. Again, I can't say enough about this cruise, and looking forward to going on another one.
Yeah, the crew was incredible. The Virgin Voyages crew is absolutely incredible.
Yes.
This was my first 5 day, as I said. I'm looking forward to a Mediterranean cruise, and having more days to actually just relax and swing in my hammock. But again, is there anything else in closing that you would like to add that just really stood out to you, other than the staff, as we've covered, the rooms, the spaces, the food? Let's see. I don't think I can think of anything else that's really standing out to me, except for join us on Virgin one day.
Yes.
Join us on Virgin Voyages. And in closing, as always, Cultural Humility Consulting signing out. Get out there, explore, travel, see the world, mix and mingle with people of all races, ethnicities, sexual orientations, backgrounds, religions, because you will realize we have so much more in common than we have differences. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.